The world is moving faster and faster. Our lives are fuller and fuller when it comes to technology and the news, and so much stuff happening out there all the time, so much uncertainty and challenges, and we don't really know what's going to happen. So we try to do our best to keep up and to catch up and to keep up with our responsibilities of what we have, but also build for our future and try and learn and build projects and build businesses and things like that. And it's overwhelming and it's confusing, and oh my gosh, at the end of the day, we're exhausted and feeling like maybe we didn't even do anything. I used to feel like that all the time as a self-employed person, until I developed my own productivity system that falls into the category and the brand of the RoboHumanist systems and a lifestyle, RoboHumanist lifestyle engineering. So this is the weekly productivity system. So in this video, I want to break down how I operate, how I use this, and what the results of this have been so far for me, and what I started as. So at first, I wanna give you a little tiny bit of background so you understand where I'm coming from, right? How these came to be. I started my business when I was about 19 years old, and I decided to drop out of school and pursue this business. And my parents said, hey, you gotta become an adult, you gotta work for yourself, we ain't gonna pay for anything, you have to pay food and rent, even if you're gonna live at home. So you need to get a full-time job if you're really gonna drop out and do whatever you want with your business. So that's what I did. I had to get a full-time job in the Czech Republic, working $3.50 an hour, and then finally, and paying rent and food at home to my parents. And then afterwards, I moved out, moved to the Netherlands, lived near Amsterdam, and then in Amsterdam for a while, working at the airport, building my business on the side. Now, while I was working full-time, I was like the most productive, the most disciplined person ever. Like, I was a machine. Like, I would wake up, I would have a shift at the airport that starts at like 4 a.m. So I would wake up at 2:30 a.m. I would go for a run. I would learn for 30 minutes, and I would do a little bit of work on my business, hop on a bicycle, 10 kilometers to work from 4 a.m. until like noon, or, you know, a full shift, come back home, do more work on the business, and then go to sleep and kind of do it again. And then maybe I had an afternoon shift or I had a night shift. It didn't matter what the external situation was, as long as I had a job and I had to show up at the airport to do my thing, or before it was in a factory, or before it was school, or then it was a package delivery company. I did a lot of different things while I was doing the business on the side. Again, I was the most disciplined, most determined person ever. And as soon as I quit my job and I got my business to the point where I can do it full time, I have a nice runway, I don't have to worry about, you know, survival for the immediate future. I think I had about 8 months to a year of a runway. And I became the most undisciplined person ever. I started procrastinating a lot more. I started waking up late. I started skipping my habits. I started skipping my morning routine, and I had to fully rebuild. And I was wondering, like, what is wrong with me? I used to be the most disciplined person ever. What happened? You see, just fell into a system, into a different way of life that didn't fit for me, and I wasn't used to it yet. So I had to go on a long journey to just white knuckle it and figure it out and power through it. And somehow, I struggled a lot throughout the years, especially the first 2 years of being self-employed. With no external structure, I kind of made it work, but it was choppy, it was awful. I felt like I didn't really get anything done. My income was unstable. Everything was just all over the place. And now it's much better. You know, I've developed systems. I changed my mindset. I discovered other things about myself. And the main shift that happened was that I finally embraced my version of ADHD. So I've discovered that I most likely don't only have ADHD, but I have a version of autism and ADHD combined. That's why my brain needs to have a specific, very personalized way of a system with variety, with chaos, with fluidity, because the fluidity and the chaos and the distractions and, you know, spontaneity and all that stuff, that's my ADHD. But at the same time, I need that structure. And that's the autism side. So I found ways how I can make this work for myself, and I've kind of templatized them, but I'll take you through the templates and the protocols and also how exactly I use it these days, so that you can hopefully kind of come up with your own way of implementing this for yourself as well, for your specific brain. Even if you have ADHD or ADHD or any version of neurodivergence, or even if you're neurotypical, maybe you can benefit from this as well. If you're watching this video, you most likely want to improve your productivity and you've struggled with it, so this can help you. Let me get a sip of water. As you'll see, and as you'll hear, it's Friday. I'm filming videos. I've been filming for a couple hours now, so my voice is getting kind of strained, but all good, all fun, all good. I'm super excited, super happy about doing it this way and living it this way. So let's get into the productivity system itself. So first two parts that I want to highlight here are the energy cycle and the anti-CADE protocols. Now, I made videos about these already previously, so you can go on my YouTube channel and you can find the energy cycle video, and you can find the anti-CADE protocols as well. But in short, I'll give you a quick recap. The energy cycle is about the daily cycle, the 4 phases that we go through in order to fully rest and recover and have our productivity aligned with our biology and with the neuroscience of our brain and of our body, to make sure that you're most productive, but you also get most rest and recovery. It is 4 phases: the preparation, the operation, the celebration, and the cool down and the rest. A lot of us are not fully resting and recovering, and that's why we have many productivity challenges. The other part is anti-CADE protocols. CADE stands for cheap, addictive digital entertainment. CADE, cheap, addictive digital entertainment. And I found that I was very addicted to videos and content and games and such, and that was corrupting and rotting my brain and rusting my brain. So I developed protocols to help me protect myself from these bad habits and addictions that was taking away a lot of my productivity, not only in being distracted and taking away my time, taking too much time in my life, but also in my ability to flow and do deep work, to focus. I found that it's been very helpful, so you can go watch that video afterwards as well if you feel like you struggle with digital distractions, digital content and stuff like that, digital addictions. That video will help you. Now, I started using and leveraging flow state highly time. Totally recommend. I even built my own tool that you can go on my website. The link is below. It's called Flow Timer. It will help you get more into flow and train yourself to be more in flow when you are doing work, okay? But really, flow state, if you don't know what it is, flow state is they call it the optimal state of consciousness for productivity. It is where your brain changes brain waves. There's different blood flow in your brain, and there's this big cocktail of neurochemistry. I won't go into the details. You can do a lot more research if you want. I'll probably make a video sometime in the future about the exact flow state and how I understand it. But really, for this video, all you need to know is that it's the optimal state of consciousness where productivity, where your brain switches into a productive mode for intense focus, and it's able to sustain it for an extended period of time. And there's this awesome neurochemistry with hormones like dopamine and endorphins and anandamide and all the kind of good stuff, good feel and good focus hormones that kick in, help us get into flow state. But there's 2 types that we can leverage. One type is a micro flow, and another one is the macro flow. So that helps us, and that tells us that we can utilize this in 2 ways. Micro flow is for those shorter burst tasks that maybe don't require hours of focus, but you can still apply it in a time span. It's a little bit faster. It's not so deep. It's not super productive, but there's still brain still switches modes, and there's still the neurochemistry to support it, and it helps. And then there's the macro, which is when you get fully into flow, time completely disappears. You've probably had this when you're watching a really awesome movie, or you're playing a really awesome video game, when like you're so embraced in it, you feel amazing, you're doing so much good work, or you're doing so well, or maybe you had a big coding session, for example, and you look up 4 hours later, you're like, wow, that felt like 20 minutes. That's you were in macro flow. Now, that most people have when it comes to flow is that they don't understand that there's a cycle to flow. Just like everything else in life moves in cycles and loops and such, flow itself and focus itself has a cycle as well. And a lot of the times people don't fully complete or don't fully follow the cycle, and that's why it's a struggle, right? Sometimes maybe people struggle with Pomodoros. I can't really do Pomodoros very well because they don't follow this cycle very well. That's why I built my own timer that's based on these 4 cycles. So let me walk you through them real quick. The first part is the struggle. This is where you start to focus. It's really hard. It usually takes between 15 to 25 minutes, depending on how well your brain is trained. This is where you want to quit. You really don't want to do it. It's the hardest part of the focus. Ideas are not really flowing yet. It's difficult. You maybe have you feel like you have a block. That's where you have to push through. Okay? That's the start. That's how you start getting yourself into flow. It doesn't feel like flow at all. It's awful, but it's the first phase. And it's good to know because it helps you get through the first phase. The second phase is the release. Now, the release is, again, depends on how your brain works and how well you are trained. Sometimes the release happens all by itself, and sometimes the release, you have to take a full break. So what I mean when it happens all by itself is, for me, usually when I'm doing the struggle and I'm trying to focus and it's really difficult, or I have my timer, around minute 20 to 25, my brain automatically starts to already switch into the focus phase, right? So it kind of transitions into the focus phase most times, not always, right? But most times, because I've already practiced this enough. Whereas for the beginning, for me, and for most of you probably, it won't be so automatic, and it will really still feel super difficult, and you won't want to push through. So when you hit minute 20, between 20 to 25, make sure that you don't do shorter and that you don't do too much longer. Around that time is the sweet spot where you want to step away for about 10 minutes. Now, most important part of the release, you step away from the task for 10 minutes. However, you cannot go into entertainment. You cannot do anything else. You can only sit there, and maybe you can take a break. You can drink some water. You can step outside. You can have a snack. You can go to the bathroom and such. But you cannot start a different task. You cannot answer messages. You cannot watch videos. You cannot do something completely different than what you were trying to do. This is really awesome because your brain in that time is computing and processing the information and the struggle phase that you went through, and it's putting it all together, it's clumping it, and it's processing in the background. That's why you don't want to interrupt it by switching tasks, by doing something different that requires your brain to do something different. Most people, when they do this, they start scrolling or they start answering messages, they start doing all this, and that's why instead of going to focus, they go right back to the struggle when they want to focus. Because they've replaced, they didn't go through the cycle, they reset the cycle. Do not reset the cycle during this phase. Make sure you're doing nothing. Best if you go to the bathroom, drink water, and you sit there. That's it. Sit there for 10 minutes, let your brain, 5 to 10 minutes usually, let your brain process it. It will start kicking into the flow, and all of it will start kind of blending in. And then by the time when 10 minutes or 5 minutes is up, you will feel it. Even if you don't feel it by 10 minutes, you get back to the main task and your brain will slide into the focus mode, into the flow, which is usually about 90 minutes. Okay, we got 20 minutes of struggle on average. We got 10 minutes of a release. And then we got 90 minutes of focus when your brain and your body is literally flooded with the best cocktail of hormones that it possibly has for deep focus. This is where you will get so much done. It will feel so good. It will feel absolutely amazing. And then in around 90 minutes, the hormones start to burn out and you run out of the natural supply that you have. And so you will need to have some recovery. Okay, that's where we get into phase 4, into recovery, where the hormones all drop and you need to let your body and your brain recharge and create those hormones again. I think my phone died. No? Okay. It didn't die. It just dimmed. Okay. Your body needs to create the hormones again. And so that's about a 20-minute break. Okay? And then if you want to do a longer focus, it is built into my timer. There's 2 modes. One mode is 1 cycle that is about 2.5 hours to complete this full cycle, right? 10 minutes, 90 minutes, and 20 minutes. And then the second mode is to do 2 cycles, which then help after recovery. Again, you want to make sure that you're letting your brain recover, right? You're not going scrolling, you're not doing a different task, you're doing a full recovery. It can be a short nap, it can be a meditation, it can be a walk, it can be really whatever else, but try and not do anything else. If you want to get back to focus, if you're coding or writing or doing like a long task that's really cognitively heavy, right? And then after recovery, you will go right back to struggle, and then right back to release, and right back to focus. Again, the more you train your brain and train your focus to be this way, it will actually help you go through these phases faster, and the focus itself might last a little bit longer as well, because your brain is better trained to know what's happening, and it will help you with the biology. So this whole thing is all about aligning your neurochemistry with the task and with the direction of where you want to go. Instead of fighting against your brain and your body, you're moving with your brain and your body. Highly recommend, super powerful. That's why I built my own custom timer, because I didn't find anything else that fully followed the science of this. This is directly based on science, okay? That's the one principle that will boost your productivity and your enjoyment of your life and your work to a whole new level if you start applying this. I use my timer every single day. I will use it in the short bursts for shorter tasks when I'm networking or when I'm posting stuff or when I'm doing stuff, and then I will use it in the longer bursts. The next part that helped me a lot with overall organization and productivity and making sure that I get things done is theme days. I'll just go really quickly over this because you will need to create your own theme days, but I'll walk you through what it looks like for me these days, and you have to input it into your own situation. It kind of goes together with the chunking part, where you chunk specific tasks into one day or one afternoon or one bigger work block, so that you can execute on all of them without getting sidetracked or distracted or switching between too many different tasks. Because as we learned here, a big enemy of the productivity and of the flow is switching tasks, right, rapidly. So that's why we want to chunk certain tasks. So on Mondays, I do client work and sales and marketing. On Tuesdays, I do clients and sales and marketing. On Wednesdays, basically the only goal is to write. So I spend 80 to 90% of the day writing. On Thursdays, I'm off, or I have fun, or I'm just go on a bike ride, or we have a date night with Julia at night. Just to fully recharge and recover, and I'll work on a fun little side project or whatever. On Fridays, I'm filming and editing. That's what I'm doing today. On Saturdays, once again, client and sales. As you can see, a lot of my week and a lot of my life and business is focused on client and sales. And on Sunday, it is an admin and tech and also fun recharge day. So I will do planning and reviews and stuff like this. And I work on my AI tech stuff a couple hours during there. On a daily basis, I have a pretty solid routine, especially morning routine and evening routine. Morning is very simple, just to get my body to get ready. Maybe I can make a separate video on my daily routine. This one is more so about the weekly and just general productivity. I also broke down the digital sunrise and digital sunset more in the anti-cade protocols that I have in the mornings and evenings. But also to get my day started, I will do. I have a daily brief, so I have a automation integrated with my AI agent, whose name is Aeon. He sends me a daily brief in the morning, so he has access. He gives me like a recap of my to-dos, my calendar, my clients. Excuse me. So in the mornings, he sends me a brief of an overview of my to-dos, my calendar, the main theme, the main goals of what is the main topic that I'm working on, and I have a nice little overview right in the morning. That's been really helpful. And then in the evenings, I do a little debrief. That's mainly with myself. There is also a little automation that sends me a recap, but included in this is a daily tracking spreadsheet. So it tracks the main numbers and the main work of what I do. So it tracks like completed tasks. It tracks how much content I've posted, how much content I've created. It tracks how many people I've spoken with, how many leads I generated, how many calls I booked, those kinds of things. The main metrics of my business, so that I can do a debrief, an overview of how did I actually do, right? That's what I want to base my productivity on, of the not just how many hours I worked, but how much did I actually get done. So I track it, and I have a debrief to track the numbers and also the tasks. Throughout the day, I added body work here because a lot of the times you can get distracted or stuck and feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't do this right now. And that's where body work is super powerful and super important, where maybe I'll shake my body, or I'll dance, or I'll jump around, or I'll have fun, I'll scream, and I'll use my physical body to get myself into a better state, so that I can, be more productive and continue working when I get maybe stuck. And I already mentioned Aeon. He helps me out a lot these days. He's my personal assistant. He's built on N8N and lots of connections and APIs. And this is like the fun tech stuff that I build on Sundays and sometimes Thursdays and other days. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun, and he's been very helpful. He's connected to my workspace, to my calendar. He has some direct automations for my CRM and such. I can directly text him. I can text him, but he also has automated workflows that he does just kind of by himself in the background. And that's been awesome, really helpful to have. If I'm talking about a weekly productivity system, I need to touch on this. Maybe I'll do a bigger video if you want me to on breaking down Aeon himself. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on the chunking and why I added it here, other than just the weeks, is that it's really helpful. And I learned this from, I think, Alex Hormozy and maybe other people as well, to separate admin work and creator work. So in all of us, we have a mix of admin work, which is like short tasks, manager stuff that you have to do. It takes maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 20 minutes each task. And then we have a creator work, which is a lot more or about like coding or developing apps or writing or editing, something that takes longer. You need a more sustained focus. So you want to chunk your tasks, your admin tasks together, and you want to chunk your creator or maker tasks together. The other way you can think about this is that admin or manager tasks have a specific start and finish. For example, if I have a sales call or if I have a client call, there's a specific end and finish, right? Whereas if I want to write, and I want to write my newsletter, I don't know if that's going to take me 30 minutes this week or 3 hours this week, okay? Or if I want to film videos, if I want to edit the videos, I don't know exactly if it's going to take an hour or if it's going to take 2 hours or 3 hours. So it's more open, and it's a longer, bigger loop that you can chunk into. And that's been very helpful for me as well. So that's the full recap of my productivity system. If you want to implement any of these or you have any questions, drop it down in the comments. If you want any clarifications, like and comment on this video and subscribe if you want me to break down the Aeon AI agent a lot more in future videos, and make sure you don't miss that if that comes out and when that comes out. I haven't really mentioned him anywhere publicly whatsoever at all before making this video. This is the first time I'm talking about him. And yeah, it's been great to have an assistant like that. That's been, yeah, I would be excited to share with you guys. So let me know if you want me to do that. And at any point you feel a little bit overwhelmed in your own life and there's a lot happening, you have a lot to manage, and you also want to work on your big dreams and you want to balance it out, you want to implement your own productivity system, maybe you want me to help you with your productivity system, but you just feel too stuck in the weeds of your current life, then go down below and you will find a link to my app and also a link to book a RoboHumanist reboot call with me. So I take a couple people per week, usually with the fee waived, completely free. You can just apply. And if you are going to qualify, then we can hop on a call where I take you through my 7-step process to help you reset your nervous system, kickstart your momentum, audit your life, and build big momentum so you can start designing your life in the direction you want instead of just managing whatever you are dealing with in that moment. And I'd be super excited to talk to you and to have that one-on-one experience with you. So just make sure you find it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.